Have you ever seen? So Kanye accuses Quentin Tarantino of stealing his idea to make Django Unchained, and they asked Quentin about that, and he's like, Kanye wanted to make a black cowboy movie. Okay, he wanted to be a black cowboy. Okay, that's not what we. And I'm like, well, that's kind of what it is, though, right? Well, yeah. So he did steal his idea a little bit, or maybe they had parallel thinking.
It's not that unique an idea.
Yeah. I feel like that
piece
idea is a
in
little
slavery
generic.
times.
Like, okay, I'm gonna make a white cowboy movie. The next guy that pulls that off, they need to know that came from me.
You know, he wanted Will Smith for that shit, and Will said no.
Oh, did Django? Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't want to play a slave, or they thought it was a bad look or something. And he's clearly so Will clearly tried to copy that Tom Cruise method for picking scripts.
Okay.
You look for the things that were blowing up, and it's like CGI, sci-fi, and like action, and with a love story attached. It was something West. Like, yeah, there you go, exactly. And the big spider from that, I can't remember the big spider story.
This story.
Where did the big spider story
tells it?
And, Kevin Smith tells it. Yep.
Yeah.
They were talking about, there was this idea for a Superman movie going around at Warner Brothers, and they were calling Kevin Smith in to like read the script and tell him what he thought, give him notes on it, because he's such a big Superman nerd that apparently he's like an authority on it, as well as a writer who they respected to some degree. And they had all these crazy ideas. I think Nick Cage was going to be Superman. I think Tim Burton might have been directing it or attached at one point. I've seen, show us the picture of Nick Cage in the Superman suit, because it's not bad. And they did a callback to it recently in the Flash movie. The Flash movie went to like there was a moment where you see all the multiverses and like Nicolas Cage Superman shows up.
Nick Cage Superman fighting a giant spider.
Fighting a giant
well,
spider.
Well, because the producer was that guy.
Wait, that's true? That wasn't a joke?
No,
that happened in the Flash movie. You see Nick Cage fighting a giant spider.
He looks like this
as Superman.
Yes, this Nick Cage is CGI in the movie. Yes.
Honestly, and the guy who was producing all this stuff was that guy who was Barbara Streisand's hairdresser, and then just fell into producing because of it. And he was nuts in the head. So he goes to Kevin Smith and he's like, it needs to have a giant spider in the movie. And he's like, why does Brainiac have to have a giant spider? And he's like, I see it in my head clearly. And then they didn't make the Superman movie, but he produced Wild Wild West. What did that movie have? Had the giant mechanical spider. It was still in his head. He's like, that spider is the most dangerous animal in the animal kingdom. Kevin Smith's like, I'm pretty sure that's not true, man.
Is that Selma Hayek in that movie that shows her ass with the button
Wild
down?
Wild West, I think so.
Yeah. There's a scene where she turns to she's I don't know, she got wet or something, and so she's wearing his pajamas, and they're old prospector pajamas with the ass that buttons down, and she turns around to leave, and her whole big ass is exposed. That's the only good part of that movie. Yeah, that's the only good part.
I never actually saw Wild Wild West. I remember like everyone being hyped for it, and I just never saw it.
I was a kid, so I didn't mind.
Because it was after Men in Black, so like Will Smith was at the height. It was like, oh my god,
he did the soundtrack again.
Big Willie style, yeah.
Yeah,
we're going to the Wild Wild West.
He's got a whole like rap song about his character being cool that plays at the beginning and end of Wild Wild West. At the beginning of the movie, he's fucking a black prostitute in the town's water supply. He's like up in one of those tanks of water that's like all of our water, and they're like chilling in there, like post-coital, like chilling, soaking in the town's water supply. That's a shit.
I never thought of it like that somehow.
Yeah, fuck Will Smith. Yeah, that's how he thinks about people. Little people are just below him, and whatever it takes for Will Smith to get off.
Not even just the little people as big as Chris Rock. He bullies
giants of in the industry, dude. That's another one of those movies like the Donald Trump thing, and like I don't know 9/11 or like the Challenger explosion, where it's like, oh no, what's happening right now? What is this real? Is it real? What? No, it's AI. And the AI was kind of a thing already. And it was like, that can't be real. It's got to be a skit. And it's like, no, Will Smith just assaulted the host of the Oscars. And nobody's going to say shit. In fact, they're going to present him with like a lifetime achievement type award here in about 37 minutes. So he
won. Didn't he win an Oscar for a movie? Like
he won for something. He won something, and it was a big moment. And they treated it like oh yeah, give him his flowers. But in reality, it's like there's an assault victim in the back trying to figure out his closing notes.
It kind of ended his career. I mean, we don't know where the future holds.
Nah,
that's not true. His mobile game came out just a few months ago.
I stand corrected.
Kind of
Okay, but I
games
was
and-
like-
It was
I was
him
like-
as like a save the
wait,
world.
I want to ask this to you guys who are better socially than me. Let's say Will Smith took great offense to this Chris Rock joke about his wife's alopecia. What would have been his ideal course of action? Apparently, slapping's unpopular.
he
Could
would
he
need,
have?
he would need a better one-liner as soon as he got up there. That's the actual response. He would have to out funny Chris Rock, but because I don't think that's possible for Will Smith.
No, he already
I don't
did.
know
That
if there's a
joke
way to do it.
sucked. He didn't have to do anything.
No, he didn't.
G.I.
but-
Jane. What's a G.I. Jane reference? When did that movie come out? Like 97?
94 maybe. 97
G.I. Jane is
sounds
from
closer.
1997.
Actually,
that
there's really no way for him to do it well. Because I was thinking because the G.I. Jane joke wasn't very funny. So Will Smith, if he came up with the one-liner or something that could beat that, but then you're just opening up
Why didn't you
Chris
reference
Rock.
Wakanda?
So now Chris Rock can just riff on you, and he's going to win.
Yeah, right. It's like, just outduel Chris Rock in a war
Or
of words.
laugh. It's just a riffy joke.
Yeah,
you
laughing
just got
is-
to shrug. You
It
gotta
was
go,
a couple
"Ooh."
years ago when Ricky Gervais was there, fucking ripping people new assholes. Like
Yeah,
you
he
can't
was
take an alopecia
But
joke.
did
Like
he rip individuals new assholes? I remember him collectively sort of talking about Hollywood in a negative way.
I don't remember
Yeah, he went-
specifics. I remember he was like, all of you applaud for Roman Polanski. I don't want to hear your nonsense on morality.
he
and like all
gives
that
Mel Gibson
shit.
a hard time. I remember that.
Okay.
Mel?
I'm like the one guy who's like, dude, he ripped on his wife's medical condition of losing her hair, which must be emotionally brutal for her. And like, he can't beat
It's
Chris Rock.
alopecia. She's a bajillionaire. Who
A
cares?
bald woman does not lose her.
Oh, a black woman has to
emotion.
wear a wig? I've never heard of that. That's
I hear what you're saying,
incredible.
but I don't think she had eyebrows. Dude, for anyone to lose their hair is rough. For a woman to lose their hair in Hollywood must be brutal.
She's
And
best
he's
case
up there telling
scenario
jokes.
for losing your hair, though. Let's admit that. She is
Okay,
a
sure.
beautiful black woman in Hollywood. The perfect person to go fucking
you just
bald. She
go,
looks good
you know what you can-
bald.
Yeah, she does look good. And you can also go, you know what? I'm just gonna laugh it off. It's the night of the Oscars. Not every comedian's gonna land or riff or whatever. He probably wrote this the night before. The
The
crazy
answer was
thing
not
was,
to
you know how
assault
she
that man.
has that podcast, The Red Room. I think she finally stopped doing it. But
Yeah.
right after the Oscars came out, they couldn't like figure out the best way to spin it. So she did a special where she brought on the mom of a kid who killed themselves because people made fun of the kid for being bald. And I'm like, I don't think this is the PR strategy to go, well, I might have killed myself for being bullied. So, it's good my husband went and assaulted Chris Rock. I think the way to handle it afterwards is to make a Bad Boys movie where Chris Rock is the villain. That was the only way to handle it.
I
If
think
Chris
they
Rock was just like a
exactly.
drug dealer and he's like,
Play it up.
"Ooh, Will Smith, you're fucked." Like, I would have watched the hell out of that.
Slap
movie.
him.
I'd
Yeah.
have threatened. Will Smith should have immediately came out and threatened Cat Williams and Kevin Hart. Any black comedians under 5'4", you get it. Don't you talk about my wife?
You think Will
I
Smith
like
could?
that.
Yeah. I
Take
guess
out Cat
you would
Williams.
have.
I watched Cat Williams lose a fight to a 13-year-old.
I was gonna say who's
He tried
the
to
other
sucker
really
punch
short
the
one?
kid.
Did he?
Yeah, the kid's like in his face a little, and he's like, yeah, and and clearly he thought it was going to be one of those sucker punches from the internet that like, oh, you knocked the fuck out, and like it was going to get, but instead this 13-year-old who was a heavy set guy just goes, I'm gonna whoop your ass, Cat Williams, and he proceeds to like have a very awkward wrestling match with Cat Williams on the ground while Cat like just kind of riffs. He's
Yeah.
like, this is what y'all let happen to y'all elders? This is what y'all let happen to a black celebrities in your community. He's
Yeah.
saying stuff like that.
He's
as-
like, you
as
guys
people are
don't treat
watching.
your celebrities right, as he's getting manhandled by a child.
Yeah, he's like getting beat up so bad his little Velcro Oshkosh Bigosh shoes are knocked off.
I hadn't seen this video.
Dude,
before.
can you
I'm watching it
imagine
now.
it's
how much of
embarrassing.
how much
it's 10 years old maybe.
Dude, Chris Rock is more professional and probably was just shocked. If he would have went up there and slapped Cat Williams, we would have gotten like a tight 5 of the meanest, most ruthless anti-Will Smith stuff on earth. That would have been hysterical because Cat Williams is a very, very funny guy. He's quick. So that would have been great. It's a damn shame. They should
Yeah,
let him
Williams
host.
Is funny.
They should have had Chris
is
Rock
funny.
host the next Oscars, man. They should have made it like a
Oh,
whole
that would have been sweet.
Hollywood never has enough fun. You got to be like,
I
we're
agree
letting
with
Chris
you.
Rock host the whole thing.
Yeah.
Chris
He goes,
Rock did
I
a
got it.
special. Thought he sort of told his side pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but he's funny.
It's
I
good.
like Chris Rock.
pretty
No,
good.
it ends with
what do you call Will Smith screwed up. Like that guy's got his fingers in so many little brands now. Everyone in Hollywood's got a piece of him that they can't let him fail. It's like, he owns he's selling water, his wife's selling cosmetics. It's like everybody in Hollywood's got a little piece of that guy. So
I think he's done though. Like, what's he gonna do? Like, I'll tell you this.
I thought he got a new movie coming out. No,
what's it called? The last movie I saw of him was when he was like an assassin
Bad Boys
hitman
came
type
out.
character. Bad Boys is like his fallback to like the good old days, like old trusty. But I'm sure that did okay because it is what I just said. But I can't see him having like a new sci-fi tentpole blockbuster type. The last thing I saw him in, he was like fighting his clone, like a younger version of him. And so they just CGI'd a 20-year-old Will Smith for him to fight, who was like better and faster, but less experienced. Like I can see where this is headed.
Ryder's guy
movie
did real
coming out
good
next year, Karate Kid.
Wait, no, they already did Karate Kid with his son. Remember?
Yeah,
I'm telling you, it's coming out in 2025.
They're doing another Karate Kid with Will Smith.
With Jaden. Is Jaden in it too?
Is Jaden in it?
Oh, stand by. I'll look.
Jaden was the so you may not know.
Jaden
They did
was
a
the
Karate Kid
with Jackie Chan.
Was exactly. Jaden has to go to China, and all the yellow kids are whooping his ass because
they're
Jaden
practicing.
Smith. Because they hate his sister's music.
Jackie
and everybody
Chan
was like, "Wait, Jackie Chan doesn't do karate. Who does kung fu? Why is this called Karate Kid?" It was a weird thing. And then there's
now that I look into it,
Japanese, Chinese, they mixed them up.
Same thing.
Will Smith and Jada are producers. They're not starring in it.
They probably got a piece of it when they did the last one.
But is Jaden going to be the Karate Kid again?
No.
I don't see Jaden starring in it. Jackie
Jaden's
Chan.
They're not letting Jaden be in movies anymore.
Jackie Chan,
They
Ralph
made 3.
Macchio, and Ben Wang have the top credit.
Okay. That Ralph Macchio is the original guy. He's the original guy.
Probably going to be because they got that TV series Cobra Kai. It's probably going to be a capstone of that show.
Oh, that's just an example of what you were saying, where they're tied into so many things and fingers and pies.
Yeah, he probably owns the Karate Kid part of the franchise. He
probably bought part of the rights so he could get his kid to be. So he did 3 movies I can think of with Jaden. He did the Pursuit of Happiness. Well, he did Pursuit of Happiness, and that's when Jaden is like tiny, so it doesn't matter that he can't act.
He doesn't have to act good.
After Earth, which was supposedly directed by M. Night Shyamalan, is maybe one of the worst movies that's trying to be good of all time. Like I think it's as bad as Battlefield Earth. I think it's that bad. I think Will Smith's trying to do this accent that's like an amalgamation of lots of Earth accents for whatever reason, and he can't even keep it up, even though it's inconsistent. It's inconsistently inconsistent. It's awful. And then the kid is the star of the movie. Like Will Smith gets crippled at the beginning, and the kid has to go on this whole journey by himself. So Jaden's acting talent has to carry the whole movie. It's him and CGI for 90 fucking minutes, and it's bad. It's so bad. And the premise is retarded. The premise is retarded of that movie. It's in a future where we abandoned Earth and we colonized a new planet, and that planet was the holy site of like a different alien race that lives kind of far from it. So they're attacking us with these monsters that they genetically created. But the monsters are like blind and deaf, and they smell human fear. So what does humanity do? Spacefaring humanity. How do they fight them? Well, you have to master your fear and become a shadow walker like Will Smith. He doesn't exude fear pheromones because he has no fear. And so he's just like a ninja master with this space spear, killing them by hand. It's like, where's the Air Force? They run around.
Good point. Air Force? But it sounds like a vehicle to make Will Smith look cool. And that's trying too hard.
Oh, yeah. No. It was the vehicle to launch Jaden Smith's whole career. Will Smith is like backup role. He gets crippled at the beginning, and he's at the ship on the radio going like, "You have to keep going, my son. You have to go deep into the forest," with his stupid made-up accent.
What the fuck? Why does he sound like that? I had a stroke in the crash.
He made up a space accent. He made up a space accent for the movie, and Jaden is essentially Jaden has to put an antenna on a mountain to signal for help, and all the while he's being stalked by I don't remember what the Ursa, the Mursa, whatever monster that's after them that only smells human fear. And so at the end, Jaden masters his fear and becomes a shadow walker and like has a fight with the monster himself.
I hate it.
Everyone did.
Yeah.
Everyone did. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
So you think Jaden he's not going to be a big actor?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not unless he has one of those like who was the kid? Roundhouse or whatever, Round Stack or whatever, Short Stack, whatever his name
Short
was
round?
from the
Short round?
There you go.
Round Stack.
I-
Called him.
It's like a bullseye. Kyle's getting like a 6, a 7, a 9. No 10s, but he's circling the bullseye.
I kind of know
Tall
what his name
Square.
is.
No. Come on.
He was the little kid in the Indiana Jones movie way
Indiana
back in the day,
Jones,
Temple of Doom. And then he had that huge resurgence of his career as a man, as like a 40-something-year-old man in Everything Everywhere All at Once. He's the guy in that doing all the kung fu.
Do you think Spielberg ever stopped him? Like Short Round would come in and be like, Dr. Jones, there's an issue in the center of the market. And he's like, cut. So Short Round, just more Asian.
More racist, please.
Oh, Dr. Jones, Dr. Jones!
Like
There
this. Oh,
you
Dr.
go.
Jones,
Yo, potatoes!
Oh. It's like, yeah, can you throw a couple more in there? Like, wait, Dr. John. No,
Really chink it up for me. You know what to do.
Don't worry, it's 1987. No one's gonna be mad.
Yeah, you're one of
Don't
the more
worry, most of the
Orientals.
people are going to focus on the racism against Middle Eastern people. The Chinese stuff is
The
fine.
Indians. The
Yeah,
Indians.
the Indians, exactly.
Oh
A
my
bunch of
God, they're-
snake eaters and brain eaters.
Eating snakes, brains, like black magic voodoo dolls for some
Yeah.
reason. When they go to the village that's like become super poor and they're eating like slugs or whatever, that guy genuinely doesn't speak English. His lines are phonetic. They like spelled out in Hindu what to say
Oh, wow.
to Indiana Jones, and he's just sounding out words of English, and so it has a really interesting sound to it. And he has lines. He's explaining that someone came and the cult came and they stole the magic stone.
took
The
the
land has died. and their
ruby.
yeah, they took the magic fucking stone and everything. That's my favorite Indiana Jones movie, Temple of Doom. I don't like the other two. It's a bunch of Nazi stuff. I don't care. I like the fucking Dark Temple and like Kali
Temple of Doom is
Ma.
the Kali Ma. Yeah, that's the one I like the most. The Ark of the I hated the end of the Ark of the Covenant one. It would always scare me when I saw
crayon
the
melting faces?
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
No,
That's
it
a good
spooked me.
effect.
I
Yeah.
always hated about Ark of the Covenant that they cut a scene because it doesn't make any sense. Everybody's like all excited to rip open the Ark, and then for no reason, Indiana Jones goes, "Shut your eyes."
Mhm.
And you're like, "Why? What do you mean? How do you know to
He
shut
knew.
your eyes when the Ark of the Covenant gets opened?"
He
And there's
knew.
just a-
He's a historian.
He knew, yeah. That
What do
The
you
Ark
mean
of
he
the-
knew?
the Ark of the
There's got to be
Covenant
a warning.
in the Old
Why
Testament.
did he
that
know
was a
and no
thing.
one else knew?
Yeah,
There were
was a thing in
overzealous
the,
Nazis who thought that they could take the power for their own, and Indiana knew
Yeah.
that it was more power than a man could.
that was their
grasp.
one ring. But if you've read the Old Testament, you know that the tabernacle, their like moving temple where they would keep the Ark of the Covenant, they had a giant like curtain, like a 6 foot thick or six. It was it's a curtain so big that I remember like being taught in Bible school about it and being like, what, a 6 foot thick curtain? What was this hanging from in this portable temple? But
It's
anyway,
really a wall
and,
of
like,
cloth.
and so, and like, unless you were the high priest and you asked permission to go in there and were granted it, if you went in on your own, dead. You just died from
You
looking
think the
upon
Pope's
it.
got the
And
Ark
so,
of the Covenant?
so I think that Indiana Jones probably read that.
You think the Catholics
but you
have the
need
Ark
a
of the Covenant? You
scene
think they got
where
it?
you
I
talk
bet they
about that.
don't.
You can't just expect the audience to go into it and know the rules of the Ark of the Covenant. You have to explain the rules at some
Well, they
point in the
figured
movie.
it out like 30 seconds later when all the Nazis.
No, they figured it out because there's a deleted scene where a guy tells him, "Hey, if they open that fucking thing, close your eyes." Like that was a
Yeah,
scene
that's
they
true. That would
filmed.
be a useful bit of
That
exposition.
scene is super useful. They also, if you pay attention, the first time when they dig the Ark of the Covenant up, you know, and the Nazis are digging in the wrong spot because they have the wrong coordinates, and they go in at night to dig it up. They also, there's a deleted scene in the same scene. He goes, "And don't touch the fucking thing." So if you pay attention during that scene, they have like all these like wooden planks and whatever to
Yeah.
make sure they never actually touch the Ark of the Covenant,
Okay.
which never
another
like
Bi-
gets talked
yeah.
about.
It's another Bible thing. See, if you went to Bible school, you went to
Yeah, I
little
remember
Sunday
the
school.
part of the Bible where he
Yeah.
says, "And lo on to Job, he looked at the thing and his eyes popped out of his fucking head." And
Yeah, well, the Bible
Jesus
doesn't go
said-
as it wasn't quite as intense as the Nazi faces melting off.
I loved
but
it when the Nazis' faces melted. It's one of the best parts of that movie. That and when they get he fights the big airplane mechanic and he backs into the propeller of the old prop
heavy.
plane and it chops them all up. Yeah.
Did you
Good
watch
scene.
the most recent Indiana Jones?
No, I watched Crystal Skull and I knew like that was about the time when I realized that I shouldn't rewatch or I shouldn't watch the remakes and like the nostalgia like bait and all the geezer teasers that I had to cut that out of my life, that it would just
So-
make what came before less if I watched it.
the weirdest thing in the new one is so yeah, you have the heavy who's like the big brute of the movie, and it's like, oh, watching Indy fight this guy is going to be cool, you know, he's way bigger than Indy or whatever else. And then at one point there's a kid in the movie, a little kid, I don't remember I think he's like Indian or something, and him and the heavy fall in the water and they get dragged into this underwater passage, and they're like handcuffed together because the kid knows how to get to the magic thing, and so the heavy handcuffed the kid to him, and the kid gets the key, undoes the handcuffs, and then cuffs the heavy to like some grate underwater, so the guy presumably suffocates to death underwater.
Wow.
And I'm like, you just had a little kid suffocate? That's not fun and adventurous at all. That's like if Short Round took a gun and started killing everybody. It's like, you don't have the kid do that. You gotta have
what did you think of
that.
the de-aged Harrison Ford? How did he look?
It's all like at night and dark. It looked fine, I guess, but you know,
He's got old man voice though, doesn't he? He's still got that old man voice.
Definitely got old man voice.
Yeah, well,
why couldn't they fix that? Or go in there and put some of that old Harrison Ford back in there.
You gotta get the AI voice in there.
Yes, go back to like those John Grisham movies he made in like
they need him
mid-90s
in this scenario. Like if you're gonna CGI the actor and AI his voice.
Honestly, not. I mean, a little because he plays old Indy later on, but I didn't want to. Crystal Skull was so fucking horse shit. There was aliens. There were fucking aliens at the end of that goddamn movie, and there was a part. The aliens weren't even the most ridiculous part. There was a part where Shia LaBeouf traveled through the jungle by swinging on vines, not like monkeys, but with monkeys who were also swinging on the vines, and that's before the giant ants showed up.
That is stupid. I don't think I've seen it. What happened to Shia LaBeouf's career? Is it just over?
He got a bunch of weird sex stuff.
He got real artsy with it. Did you see Nympho?
No.
I meant he got Me Too'd also, but
I
think he got a little Me Too'd.